This video will show you how to add dimensions to your Inventor drawing sheets. Generally works best if you follow 4 steps when you're dimensioning. The first thing we do is place center points in the centers of all circles and large arcs. To access the center point tool, you need to be under the Annotate tab, and then it looks kind of like this plus symbol. If you can't find it, you can always just search in the help bar. So I want to look and see where I see any circles or arcs, and the view where I'm seeing those is on my right view. You have 2 ways to place it. You can either click on the center, or if you click on the outside circle, it puts it right in the middle for me. And notice that since these all share the same center, they're going to share the same center mark as well. I also do have an arc over here. It's on the smaller side, but you could put a center mark if you want. Notice that I'm not putting any of my dimensions on the isometric. Dimensions only go on my front, right, and top views. Okay, so step 2, after you have your center points, so you're going to use what we call the baseline tool. We use the baseline tool to dimension our heights, widths, and depths. So to use the baseline tool, again, it's under Annotate, right over here. We're going to do one type of dimension at a time. I'm going to do my widths first. And we always want to work from one side to another. I'm going to put my widths probably on the top view. They can go anywhere in this region, but I can see this piece from the best on the top, so that's why I chose that side. So I work from left to right. So my left is what we call the baseline. It's where the dimension starts. And then you just click on every other width you want to measure. So I'd want to measure this point, both sides of this little piece that sticks up, and then the end. Once you have all your lines selected, you right-click, select Continue, and notice that it's done all the dimensions for you. To drop it into place, you just left-click, and then right-click and hit Create to save that. Okay. So my widths are done. Next up, let's go over and do some heights. So again, I'm going to choose Baseline. The one tricky part about heights is that when you have round features like this, we don't want to dimension the heights of the round features. Later on, we'll give the diameters. We do want to say where the center is located. So that's something to think about, is you're going to want to put where the center is. So in this case, I'm going to use the bottom as my baseline. So I'm going to start here. Now, notice I'm not going to click these lines over here because I know that those are part of my circles that I'm going to show on this side in just a minute. So I've got this line selected. I would want to know where this is located. I would want to know where this line is located. And I do want to know the top of the arc because that's going to be the very, very highest point. So from here, I'm going to right-click and hit Continue. Now notice here, and this is sometimes the trouble, it doesn't always pick up arcs and circles very well. So I'm going to go ahead and place these 2 in. What I find is that if it has trouble selecting an arc, you can do some dimensions manually using the Dimension tool. So I do want to give my overall height, so I can just go my bottom line. And the Dimension tool allows you to be a little more precise and choose just the point at the top of the arc, which will give me my overall height. You'll notice when you do a dimension, you get a pop-up. This allows you to type additional notes if you need to. Most of the time we won't. The other thing I want to do is I do want to show where the center point is located. So again, my baseline I'm using in the bottom, so I go from the bottom to the center point. And that would be all of the heights that I need. And now let's do depth. With depth, it's a little bit tricky, again, because we have all these different circles. So in this case, I'm just going to use the Dimension tool. I'm not going to use Baseline, because again, Baseline doesn't work great for round features. Great for straight ones, not so much for round. I'm going to use the side over here as my dimension. Actually, change my mind. You want to put those on the top view. There's a little more space there to work with. And so I could use, there's a few options here. I could use Baseline, where I'm marking off a lot of these. Let me show you the flaw with this. It gets really cluttered and I'm running out of space. So sometimes what you can select all those, and then you can go back and delete the ones you don't want. For example, what I'm going to do instead, and this is actually step 3, is dimensioning circles and arcs. I'm going to get rid of some ones that refer to circles, like this one right here. That's referring to one side of a circle. Same thing as this one. Wait, something wrong. This one right here, sorry. And then instead, to make it a little bit easier to read, I'm just going to give the diameters all these different circles. So I know like this one is 0.43, this one is 0.35, and the smallest one is 0.28. That's much like less cluttered to read than having them all on one side. So you have to show them in one location. I would generally do diameters if possible, but if you use the baseline tool, it wouldn't be wrong. The key is that you don't want to have both, so always look for the way that's going to be the least amount of clutter. Our final step for dimensioning is a special feature. So this could be chamfers, fillets, threads. In this case, I do have some threads here over on this side. To dimension a thread, I can just use the hole in thread feature. All you do is zoom in, click on your thread, and it'll do the dimensioning for you. Nice and easy. The same thing works with like a chamfer. Those are really should be the only ones that you need to use. So again, one last time, these are the steps you should be following for dimensioning. Place your center points. Use the baseline tool to dimension heights, widths, and depths. Use the dimension tool to do circles and arcs. And then use your special tools for chamfers, fillets, and threads.